Hey there, rednecks, preppies, redneck preppies. It's me, the Redneck Preppy. How you doing today? Great? Good. Just a friendly reminder that the Redneck Preppy can also be found on Rumble and Odyssey. Links are in the description below. You probably don't need to be shooting very long to learn that wind can play a role in your accuracy. For rimfire, that tends to be 50 yards and out, and for big boy calibers, well, it depends on caliber, bullet weight, and speed. Now, in the field, judgment of wind speed and direction can be done in one of two basic ways: watching environmental cues, such as the movement of vegetation as it responds to wind, or employing mechanical means. Well, today we're going to review a product that works the latter way, the MTM. Wind Reader Shooting Range Flag. Rolls off the tongue. Now, as always, everything reviewed on this channel is bought by myself. It comes in at about $25 US and $35 in Canada. Is this worth it? Let's find out. There's not much to the contents. I mean, it's a wind flag after all. You get 30 inches or 75 centimeters of poly tape or marking tape, whatever you prefer to call it. You get yourself a nice MTM decal. You have a green sticker, and I shall explain the significance of this shortly. You got yourself some instructions, which, I mean, you don't really need. It's pretty self-explanatory. And you get the wind flag itself. As you can see, it's a pretty compact package, something that I can definitely appreciate. The poly tape is tied through this small hole here, and that's your basic wind strength indicator. Over time, one would presumably learn how strong the wind is based on what the tape is doing. Now, continuing on, we're going to remove the poles here. The green tape goes on this side of the wind flag. It is keyed, so to speak, so it can only go on this side. And the MTM decal goes on this side if you really want it there. Assembling this thing isn't exactly rocket science. You got 3 sections of poles. One of them is spiked at the end, so you know it's the bottom. You insert that there, you put that there, and then this goes in this channel. Always difficult to do on camera. And there you go. There's your wind flag. It's fully assembled. And once you have it set up, you have yourself a wind flag that's 15.6 inches or not quite 40 centimeters long, and about 33 inches or 84 centimeters tall. So how well does it work? Well, maybe I have low standards, but it's pretty hard to screw up a flag. And I'm happy to report that MTM successfully navigated the shoals of wind flag design and manufacture, and that their version works just fine. I never had an issue with the wind reader not picking up even the lightest breeze. If there was air movement to interact with the wind reader, the unit moved to register it. All I can say is that it did indeed work very well. If I can offer one tip, I would recommend cutting a few inches off the poly tape after you've tied it to the flag. I've noticed that the tape can wrap itself around the pole and then limit the movement of the flag itself. In my case, I cut about 4 inches off and it solved that issue. No review is complete without pros and cons, and as is the tradition of this channel, we're going to begin with cons. I have none. No, this is not as fancy as some of the flags out there with their calibrated gauges that not only tell you the direction, but the actual speed as well. But this costs $20 to $30, not $200 to $300. Now, if you need that level of information, there are those flags out there for you. This does its job of telling you the wind direction and a rough idea of strength, and it does it very well. Now, as for pros, it's damned cheap. At the price that MTM charges, you can buy several of them and place them in a line out to your target, which actually is the recommended way of gathering wind information with flags. MTM's ad copy bills their wind reader as extremely sensitive, capable of picking up the slightest breeze. And I can't argue with that. This thing has the equivalent of a hair trigger when it comes to wind reading. It's very light, and broken down, it's pretty compact. The whole package is no longer than the plastic flag itself. As someone who's constantly trying to lighten up his range gear and hates unnecessary bulk, I really appreciate that. Do you actually need to buy a wind flag? Plenty of people survive with nothing more than a stake in the ground and some marking tape tied to it. So no, you don't need to buy one. That said, I do recommend this wind reader. If you have a desire for a wind flag and don't want to spend a lot of money, you could do a lot worse than MTM's offering. Look, I've made several of my own wind flags. They work fine and cost almost nothing to make. But this wind reader now has a permanent place in my range bag alongside my creations. It's cheap, works well, and does what it says it's going to do. And I can't argue with that. At any rate, I hope you found today's video to at least be vaguely entertaining and mildly informative. As always, I hope your trips to the range are fun and productive. Take care, and bye-bye.